What is going on, YouTube? So coming back with my next NBA draft scouting report. So today I'm doing Malik Beasley. So get into some of his background information, basic stats and stuff like that. He is a 6'5", 190-pound shooting guard, freshman out of Florida State University. He can play at the 1 or the 2, mainly the 2. And he is from Alpharetta, Georgia. Big part of Florida State's two-headed monster freshman this year between him and Dwayne Bacon, but Bacon is most likely staying for next year. So get into some of his strengths. First one is his athleticism. So he's got good leaping ability. He is very fast, and if you're just talking straight line speed. He's got a really good combination of slashing ability, which I'll get into later, and ability to get to the rim, like I said, just because of that combination of leaping ability, agility, quickness, and speed. Strength is something that kind of eludes him a little bit. Again, get into that a little bit later. Second strength is probably his biggest strength, and that's his scoring and shooting ability. So this is a guy that averaged 15.6 points per game this year, only playing about 30 minutes. Not saying that's a small amount of time, but I believe he averaged around 18.9, something like that, points per 40 minutes. So good average there. Every one of his shooting numbers is pretty impressive, averaging about 11.6 field goal attempts per game, and then 47% field goal percentage with a 39% three-point percentage, so he's solid outside the arc and inside the arc, and about an 81% free throw percentage as well. So he's a good shooter, especially off the wing. He gives you a multitude of scoring looks. He's a guy that will be able to stretch the floor for you. He can catch and shoot. He can shoot in transition. He can pull up. As long as he's got room, then he's a pretty automatic shooter. So get into his third strength, which is his driving ability. So when you're talking about straight line drives, there's hard to find better than him in the country. Like I said, he can play above the rim. If he is playing at the 1 spot, which he didn't do a whole lot this past year, but he was playing at the 1 a little bit if Florida State decided to go bigger in their lineup. But with his driving ability, and one thing that I think would make him extremely dangerous, even more dangerous than he already is, would be ability to drive and kick. He did that a little bit, but averaging only 1.5 assists per game. Didn't really look to pass it off quickly as much. Like I said, as far as straight line drives go, I don't know if there's better than him in this draft. So get into his fourth strength, which is his motor. He gives great effort, leaves it all out on the floor. He knows his role. He's a very, very useful player to have on your team. Great teammate from what I've seen. He was a leader on the Florida State team that had tournament potential, but I believe they did not end up making it. So when you're talking about things just like his motor, his work ethic, his leadership ability on the floor, that translated into a pretty good rebounding average. I believe it was about 7 rebounds per 40 minutes, but averaged 5.3 rebounds per game. Had 180 total rebounds on the year. Now, his motor also helps him out. I think will help him out in the steal department. I think he needs to be a little bit more patient on that end of the floor. But 0.9 steals per game, not great, but I think that's a number that you could see improve in the NBA, so watch out for that. So get into some of his weaknesses. First one is his limited offensive arsenal for creating. So while he is an elite scorer in this draft and a great shooter, he has a problem creating his own shots. So he's not the greatest facilitator in the world either. Like I said, something that would definitely benefit him from his skill set and ability to draw off defenders would be a drive and kick ability, something that I think you could see develop in his game later on, but for right now it is lacking. He's not a guy that's going to be able to create too much separation. He doesn't draw contact a whole lot and get to the basket. 3.8 free throw attempts per game for a guy that is very good at straight line driving and also a great shooter. You would anticipate that he would be able to get to the line a little bit more. Now, that could obviously that could present a problem in the NBA, especially at the 2 spot if he has a wing, one of the bigger wing guards in the NBA guarding him. At 6'5", he does have decent size, but not elite size by any sense of the word. 6'7" wingspan, that's also not elite either. So if he is able to add that dynamic to his game, be able to facilitate a little bit better, be able to create his own shots, maybe step back, some turnarounds, those are things that are really lacking from his game also. I haven't really ever seen him post up before. So get into a second weakness, which is defensive technique. This is kind of the yin to the yang with, or I guess the bad to the good with his great motor. Again, I mentioned patience earlier, and that's a big key to his game. It's something that he's going to have to improve, because a lot of time he got caught trying to jump the ball, get steals. Again, his off-ball awareness isn't a problem, but sometimes it just looks like, again, I mentioned this a lot before with younger players, where you just kind of got to slow the game down in your mind a little bit. I feel like to some degree, even when I've been playing sports before, it's happened to everyone, I think, who's ever played sports, where the game just goes faster in your mind, and everything is going faster in your mind than your body's actually being able to comprehend, and your mind's moving faster than your body, and that's not a good combination normally. Again, it's normally something that can be ironed out with experience, and Malik Beasley was only a true freshman at Florida State, so something that I think could be fixed over time. Now, footwork is okay. Like I said, his agility and quickness is there. I think he's got to be able to control the fouls a little bit more. 2.2 personal fouls per 30 minutes. Again, probably about 3.5 fouls per 40. That's not bad, but for a guy that really didn't see a whole lot of action on defense, that's probably a little bit of a problem. He is good against against ones in the NBA, he was in college, and he probably will be in the NBA. But again, if he is matched up against a bigger guy at the 2 spot, or just a wing that is maybe an inch 2 taller than him at least, then that could present a problem as well. So get into his third weakness, which is his thin frame. At 6'5", 190, again, a guy that's, I believe, 20 years old, so has time to put on weight. Probably looking at the combine is actually going on right now, so he might be up to 195 or 200 at this point, which will help out, but I think 210, 215 is probably the desired size for a guy of his playing style and just overall size. I think if you can fix the thin frame, might help him handle contact a little bit better, get to the line a little bit more, and that's probably pretty much it. It might help him be able to defend the 2 spot a little bit better, might get bullied a little bit less, but that's really never been a problem for him either. All right, so that does it for the strengths and weaknesses. So talk about where I think he projects in the NBA. Again, best scheme fits, and where I think he's just going to fall, what team would be the best fit. So most drafts I have seen have him falling in the lottery. A guy with this scoring ability and ability to fit into a rotation and a role just like that. And a guy, even though he is young, could come in and be a 6th man probably from day one. That's a valuable asset, and that's something that a lot of teams need. Now, when you're talking about top 15, because a lot of mock drafts do have him in the top 15. I don't think he makes it out of the top 20. Top 22, I'd say, at the lowest. He is on the last NBA Draft.net mock draft, he is going at number 14, the Chicago Bulls. I don't really like the fit with the Bulls, just because I don't really know what direction that backcourt's headed in with Jimmy Butler and Derrick Rose. I think it'd be kind of a shitty situation for him to end up in. Now, when you're talking about teams that I like to fit with, the Denver Nuggets, I think they need added scoring. They need everything but a point guard and center. A few other fits that I do like is the Sixers. I don't think he's going to make it all the way down to the Sixers, but the thing is, I think Philadelphia, if they are going to move forward this year, they need some scoring in the backcourt, be able to space the floor for actually a lot of young, good bigs they have. They do actually have one of the deepest young backcourts in basketball, obviously, with Embiid, Noel, and Jahlil Okafor. That's a lot of weapons to have. And then another one that I mentioned when teams need scores is the Memphis Grizzlies. Again, they need a wing. They need a guy at the 2 or the 3 spot. They can stretch the floor, that can score, and help out guys like Marc Gasol and Mike Conley if he does stay a little bit more. Tony Allen, I mentioned before, very good defender, one of the best defenders at the 2 spot in the NBA. Also very aggressive player and high work ethic, but again, not a great player on the offensive end of the floor. So that's another team that could definitely use some help. All right, so when you're talking about stats projections for Malik, I think this is a guy that can come in and average 12 and 4 in his rookie year. He has that ability, but I think more realistically, you're looking around 10 points, 4 rebounds. Again, he averaged about 7 rebounds per 40 minutes, which is great for his position. You wouldn't think that he'd be a very good rebounder. You'd more expect around 3-4 rebounds per game in his position. But Florida State is a team that played a high-tempo game, a very athletic team, and I think that pace can help him out if he moves into a high-pace offense in the NBA as well. Also, I think he is adaptable. Even a slow-paced offense, it might not be the best fit for him, but I think it's something he could adapt to after a year or two. All right, so that pretty much does it. Tomorrow I will be coming back with Malachi Richardson and maybe one more. We'll see. I don't know. I got a pretty busy day tomorrow. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have not seen Deontay Davis, that was the one I did earlier today. Go check that out. The link will be in the outro. And as always, the link to the entire playlist will be in the description below. So that's pretty much it. It's a Muskegon, something like that. And he's got a 7'1" wingspan. So this is a guy that actually didn't get a whole lot of exposure this year. He definitely was able to get some positive exposure this year in college.